Hey, what's up guys? HarrajSinghProductions back at it again. I hope you guys have had a very good Christmas. So as Christmas has went by, I thought to myself that okay, I made a video to do with how to pass your theory test a few months ago. And I got a really good response for that. And I got over 2,000 views. So I'm really happy that people out there were benefited by this video. So this is the reason why I'm going to make a video on how to pass the actual driving test. So yes, let's move on to this topic. First of all, I passed my driving test around February 2017, which was 2.5 years ago. And I know that a few things have changed, but in my opinion, I believe they have made the driving test a lot more easier in comparison to my time. Unfortunately, I did not pass at my first attempt, but I passed at my second. But I believe with the tips I will give you in this video, it will give you higher chances for you to pass first time, because I feel like if I knew this before I took my driving test, I would have passed first time, which was quite upsetting at the time because I was only 17. I still managed to pass at 17, don't get me wrong. It just feels really upsetting when you don't get it right at the first time. This is the reason why I'm making this video, so you guys do not make the same mistake that I did in the past. So yes guys, for the driving test, make sure if you do have visual reading problems, make sure you bring your glasses with you, because the first thing they do is they make you read a number plate which is a bit distant towards you to see whether you can see from far distances. And if you do not get this right, you can unfortunately fail the test. So this is one thing you should definitely keep in consideration. Secondly, it would be to make sure that you arrive early, because if you arrive late, the chances are you won't have your test done. And that's the last thing you want, because you've paid over £60 for your driving test. And if the examiner does not see that you have arrived on time, they can probably cancel your test and give it to someone else that is waiting after you. Okay guys, so from what I've understood, the only difference is in comparison to my driving test and the driving test that will be taking place nowadays is the fact that they've added more maneuvers, such as turning right onto the road and reversing back, and they've also added independent driving, which I believe is a lot more easier in comparison to driving for 45 minutes from what the examiner tells you. Because with independent driving, you're technically looking at a sat nav which gives you directions and tells you where exactly you need to turn and stop, whereas when the examiner tells you, you can sometimes be confused and you can sometimes feel distracted by him talking to you or them talking, which is why I believe that having a sat nav does help people when they're doing their independent driving, because you don't have to ask any questions and the sat nav is literally guiding you to where you need to go, which is why I believe they have made the driving test a lot more easier. Another thing to take into consideration would be to learn the answers to the show me tell me questions. So out of 21 questions, there are possible 2 questions they can ask you from these questions, just to see how your knowledge is with cars and just to see how you would deal with a certain scenario when you would need to whilst you are about to drive. So a good question would be, how would you turn on your dipped headlights and when would you? That's a common question. That's the question that was asked to me when I did my driving test 2.5 years ago. And at my time, the maneuver that was given to me was bay parking. Unfortunately, that is the common maneuver that a lot of people do get in driving test centers, especially if your driving test center has a bay park. My driving test center was good, mate. If you do have a test center that has a bay park, do expect to get that maneuver. But if not, I'm pretty sure there will be other maneuvers out there that will be given to you. Another common one would be reversing around the corner. I want to keep this video short and simple, so this makes sense to all the viewers that will be watching this video. So another thing I would like to address about this video would be to make sure that you take enough lessons before you take your driving test. Don't just take like 10 lessons and think, okay, I can just about drive, I can pass the test, because you need to show that you are a safe driver rather than showing that you're a good driver, if that makes sense. What you have to prove is that you will be capable enough to be on the road without crashing any cars or without being a reckless driver. Once you can prove that to the examiners by driving safely, keeping calm and keeping a relaxed mindset, the chances of you passing the driving test will be a lot more higher than someone that just about knows how to drive and wants to show off that yes, I got the skills, I can drive however I want to. Personally with me, I do recommend taking like a 2-hour lesson or 1-hour lesson before your actual driving test, and make sure that all the driving lessons that you do take are around the area that you're going to do your driving test at. This way you'll be a lot more familiar with the routes that they will be taking you around your driving test, and it will make it more easier for you to pass. The reason why I'm addressing this issue is because many people have complained that their instructors have not taken them around the area, and they've used it as an excuse to fail the driving test, because when they took their driving test, they were given routes such as big roundabouts with over 4 exits, dual carriageways they were not aware about, and they were stressed and panicky about the fact that they were given these routes. So this is the reason why I'm telling you guys to make sure you practice around the area that you are going to do your test in. So this way you won't be in that situation and the chance of you passing will be a lot more higher. This is the overall summary of what the practical driving test will be like. So it will be around 38 to 45 minutes. But the one thing I did that helped me pass was just kept relaxed and just made sure I drove a lot more safer than how I usually would. And in terms of speed, I would make sure I would just about drive at the speed limit. Don't exceed the speed limit, because if you exceed the speed limit, that can cause you to fail the driving test. Within the driving test, you can have over 13 minor faults. So it's 15 minor faults you can have. And if you exceed over 15 minor faults, it will be considered as a test fail. Other than that, you want to make sure that you're looking at your mirrors too. Your mirrors are an indication that you're looking around and you are aware about any hazards that can take place. So looking at your mirrors and keeping a relaxed mind does help you a lot when it comes to driving test. A great example can be in my first driving test, they told me to do an emergency brake. I braked, but the reason why I failed is because I did not look at the rear mirror, which is a really silly reason to fail someone. But then at the same time, I understand the reason, because you need to prove to them that you need to be a safe driver. I wish someone told me this before I took my first driving test, but at least I learned at my second attempt and I did pass. So when you do get given a maneuver or given a scenario where you have to stop, make sure you look at your rear mirror and make sure you look at your right mirror after that. So that way you show the examiner that yes, I'm looking around and at the same time I'm driving safely. This gives you more of an advantage to pass. With every exam, we all are stressed and have anxiety because we feel like we could fail. But one thing that has helped me a lot with every single exam I've done and my driving test at the time was to accept the fact that, okay, if I don't pass the first time, it's not the end of the world. It will make me work harder and make me understand how I can pass the next time and benefit people out there when I do pass, which is what I'm doing right now. So when you do accept the fact that you might fail and the chances of you passing could be quite less at some days, that's when I believe you will feel less anxious, because you will know how to deal with it if things do not go your way. So this is why, guys, I would say keep an open mind. Just do your best, and when you have tried your best, at least feel proud that you tried your best and you don't have a reason to why you failed. So the last tip, I know you guys might not want to do this, but I do highly recommend this, is to take your driving instructor with you. So this way your driving instructor can observe the way you are performing in your driving test. So if you do fail, your driving instructor can capitalize on the mistake that you had made. So when you do your next driving test, it will be more likely for you to pass, so you don't make those same mistakes again. And when you are with your driving instructor, I believed that, okay, if I do bring my driving instructor with me, I would be more nervous. But this was not the case. When I brought my driving instructor with me, the next attempt I did my driving test, I felt a lot more relaxed, because I believe like my driving instructor is looking at me. Every time I'm with my instructor, I'm always driving really well. Whereas with my examiner, every time I take a test, I feel like I'm quite nervous. I do not perform the way I want to. So this is why I believe if you're someone that performs well with your instructor, but does not perform well with the examiner, when you're doing a driving test, I highly recommend it, even though it's not something that you do prefer. But the chances of you passing with your instructor there is a lot more higher from my experience. So yes guys, this is the end of the video. So to give you an overall summary, it's all about showing that you're a safe driver, you're capable on driving on the road without crashing into a different car, that you as a driver are also aware about common hazards that can take place, and you do remember your skills that you have learnt from your theory test. And it is also about having a relaxed mindset and keeping calm, because if you show that you are anxious about the practical test, the driving examiner could capitalize on that. That can give you an edge to fail, which is like the last thing that you want to do. For everyone that is taking their driving test, I really wish you best of luck, and do share this across to people out there that will be taking their driving test. This is HarrajSinghProductions over here. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure you share across my YouTube channel so more viewers can come across it. And this way I can help others too. Thank you very much. Have a great day.